Hey you guys, it's Christian from SuperKamiGuru9000, and today I have an extra special interview for you guys. I have Larry from OtakuAssemble here. Thank you for joining me today, man.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem, no problem. Well, first of all, you're probably the most prominent YouTuber I've ever talked to on Skype, and definitely the most prominent to have in my interview series so far. You have almost 3,000 subscribers, if I'm right, or over that?
Almost 3,800.
Almost 3,800 subscribers, and you have very popular reviews with Games of Thrones, and you also have an awesome story about that, which we'll get into later. And you've just been making it, and you have an awesome story, so I'm really, really excited about having you here. How did you get started on YouTube?
Well, what happened was pretty much last year. It was actually May of last year. I got introduced to CCW.TV. If you've ever seen any of their videos on YouTube.
I have not.
And, well, they're really good videos. And, I mean, I just ran across them with their Iron Man 2 review, Iron Man 2 movie review. And so after I saw that video, I was like, man, these guys are kick-ass. It's like, what they were doing and the way they were reviewing it was something that I wanted to do for a very long time. So last summer, I was bored, summer job. I wasn't in school for the summer, so it's like, well, let's see if I can get this thing started. So I went ahead. I hit up my man Chris, who was one of the founders of the OAW channel, and I pitched the idea to him. Talked with him about it. He seemed interested. I was like, all right, well, let's just try it out, see how it goes. And after a couple of months, it started picking up steam, and we just rolled with it.
Yeah, that's something I think people need to know. The way your channel started is very different than the way it is today. If you were to subscribe to your channel, it would look very different than when you started. You had one co-host, and then at one time you had a few co-hosts, and then everyone decided that they weren't interested in the project, and you stood up and said, I'm still going to do this, I enjoy doing this, and now you have where you are today. That's kind of right? That's the history lesson of the OtakuAssemble?
Pretty much. I mean, for the most part, it got to the point where the channel was really getting popular and really starting to pick up steam, so I got a few of my other friends involved, to help with the process, trying to,
and spread the workload out maybe a little bit and make the videos more fun to make with all your friends there.
Exactly. And then it got to the point where everyone just, they kind of wanted to do their own thing. And so instead of just letting the channel die out, I was like, well, let me just try it on my own for a while.
Yeah. And I still remember when you made that announcement video. I was very inspired by your motivation, and you were like, I think you were maybe 500 subscribers deep back then, and you were like, it's gotten too big to quit. Why would I just stop? Because this is still so much fun, and yeah, it'll be harder without everyone's help, but I can do it. And I was always very inspired by that video you put out.
Oh, thank you. But I mean, yeah, the channel, to me, the channel was still young, because it wasn't even a year old. That happened back in March. So the channel was barely a year old, and I was like, it seemed too soon to throw in the towel, is what I was saying.
Yeah, you're like, this has got more to it. I'm still enjoying it. Let's keep it moving.
Exactly.
So anyone that knows you now knows that you're a huge Game of Thrones fan. Honestly, I've never seen the show. Like, what is it? What about that show is so exciting, and why are you such a big fan of it?
The reason why I enjoy Game of Thrones so much is because the best way I can describe the show to you is how one of the critics described it when it first premiered, and that's it is very much like Lord of the Rings meets The Sopranos, and I'm a huge Soprano fan. Number one, I'm big into mafia, mobster, gangster type of media, but I never understood what exactly the critic meant when he said that until I started watching the series. And what makes it like The Sopranos is that you have a series with an ensemble of characters, the way in which they interact with each other, and the events that take place, the circumstances that they find themselves in.
Yeah.
all of it is very, it's just really entertaining, and it's really well written.
It obviously has to be, because that's what I hear so much is the dialogue. And I mean, if it has this Sopranos-esque thing, it's got to have some pretty good writing to keep you enthralled on these people's like problems and encounters with other people.
Definitely. And since you mentioned the dialogue, I've said this before, I'll say it again. In my 22 years of being on this earth, that series probably has the best dialogue I've ever seen. Period.
I have seen like a few clips, and I think that's the thing. They develop the characters so well. Like the guy who's the leader of the, oh, I forget his name. He's like the guy that gets the wife, and the other guy was supposed to become the king because of that. I'm sorry.
Carl Drogo.
Yeah, his character has he's limited in what he says in a very like primal sort of way, but at the same time, it still comes through with so much energy and passion.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's actually a scene towards the end of the season where he actually has like a monologue, and that monologue was phenomenal. Even though it's in a different language because it's in Dothraki, still just reading the subtitles and listening to him, like Jason Momoa, the actor who portrays Khal Drogo, he did a fantastic job with that.
That was instantly someone I was drawn to when I started watching a little bit of the show online. I was just like, wow, I see what the performances are that are drawing people into this series. So you started reviewing the series, and your channel kind of blew up because of that, and you could probably say you're where you are today because of those reviews. Like, what's the story behind that?
To be honest, what happened was that since I was doing the channel solo by that time, and because of the videos that I were making at the time, I just really wanted to branch out because I always.
What were you making at the time? Like, to give someone a snapshot of what your channel was like.
I was pretty much strictly doing big three anime and manga reviews. You know, One Piece. Well, we stopped doing Bleach back in September. Like, we dropped Bleach.
OtakuAssemble has spoken.
But we were still doing One Piece, Naruto, and Fairy Tail, right? And that was the anime and the manga reviews. When I was doing the channel solo, it was One Piece manga review, Naruto manga review, and Naruto anime review, because I really didn't want to keep doing the One Piece anime anymore. Yeah. But even that was a strain in itself because I didn't know it. I didn't really know it at the time, but it wasn't so much that I was falling out of reviewing the material. I was falling out of the material, period. I mean, even just reading it and watching it just to enjoy it, I was falling out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like you sit there and you have to analyze it constantly, and you just get to know these characters on such a level. You're like, maybe this isn't enjoyable personally, not just there's a lot of work to make all these videos, you know?
That's exactly what it was. I pretty much got to the point where I was able to distinguish so many things about the series that was no longer intriguing to me. And
you cracked the formula, and you were like, okay, I get it, I'm done.
Exactly. So at the time when Game of Thrones came out, I was really looking forward to the series. I had actually been waiting for the series for quite a few months. I mean, I think I was waiting for it since July. Yeah, July of 2010.
Oh, wow.
Not too long after I started the OAW channel was when I saw the first promo for it on HBO, and I'd just been waiting.
So you read the books, or you just heard some hype about it?
I didn't even know there was a book series.
Oh, okay. You just saw the promo, and you're like, I got to watch that.
All I saw was the HBO promo. It had Sean Bean in it, and it was medieval. That's all I saw.
And that was enough.
that was enough for me to check it out. So then, when the series actually came out, I was like, well, this is really cool. I really enjoyed it. Let me make a video about it. So I went there, made the vid, and the next morning, my views skyrocketed, like through the roof, and I did not understand what was going on.
What would be some numbers? Like, you left it and it was like maybe 100 or 200, and then you woke up and it was at like what?
Well, actually, what happened was I went to sleep uploading the vid. So I didn't even see what the views were when it uploaded. By the time I woke up, the vid already had over 1,000 views.
Wow.
So I didn't know what was going on, and people were telling me in the comments that, oh, I saw your vid on winteriscoming.net, and I literally could not get to the website because for some reason, I think their website was getting so much traffic that it was hard to get to the website. And it wasn't until I went through the insight through YouTube, the insight button that you can...
Yeah, you can see where your views are coming from.
Exactly. They had the link, and I followed it, and come to find out, apparently one of the moderators on winteriscoming.net, he not only posted my video, he wrote a whole article about my review.
Wow.
And ever since then, the channel just took off because not only did he write the article, but week after week, he posted my review on their website. And it went from winteriscoming.net to westeros.org to...
It went viral. The definition of the word.
Much.
It went viral. That's crazy, man. So, like, within a week, your video had blown up completely. Like, what were you at, like, view level? You were probably 20,000 or something crazy?
Exactly. Yeah, around 20 to 21,000 for the first review.
Wow. That's crazy. And then, so you started finding out that the producer, I thought you mentioned that one time to me, that the producer had said something to you, and this also leads to your unboxing story recently.
Well, what happened was I found out that the producers, or at least one of them at the time, one of them had seen one of my reviews because he posted it in a tweet that he posted on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I think it was like my episode 7 review or something like that. And I just thought to myself, okay, that's cool. And people had posted comments before where they were like, oh, I'm pretty sure that the cast and crew watches it. I never thought anything of it.
Because that's kind of a far-fetched idea. You're like, oh, the people that make the show are watching my reviews. Not saying it's impossible, but it's like kind of crazy.
Here's my thing. Because the thing was, I wasn't the only person doing it. Okay? And so my whole thing was, well, even if they've seen it, what is it about my reviews that would make it stand out? You see what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure they've seen 10 to 20, maybe 30, 40 reviews. So my reviews in particular, I didn't see what the
draw was. Yeah. Yeah. But then did you start to get a message from them or something, or how did you start confirming that they were watching your stuff?
Well, I mean, the Twitter,
the Twitter,
the tweet was pretty much what confirmed that they were watching it because that was one of the producer's official Twitter page, and he linked it, so I knew he was talking about my video. And people were just telling me about it. Back in May, back in May, I got a message from a guy on Facebook. He was telling me that, hey, the producers, they really love your show. They want to send you something.
Oh, wow.
So, I didn't think anything of it at the time. I gave the guy a P.O. box just to see, in case he wanted to send me, hate mail or anything like that.
Yeah.
But what happened was in June, right around the time when I got partnered, was when episode 9 premiered. And episode 9 was the big episode. Like
a conclusion or a season finale kind of thing?
Well, it was the episode before the season finale. Season finale was episode 10. But episode 9 was when they had the big shock, if you will. Not to spoil anything for those who haven't seen the series, but pretty much the shit hits the... Can I say shit?
Yeah, dude. Okay. Say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay. The shit hits the fan in episode 9, and I did not know it at the time, but apparently that was the episode that everyone, and I mean everyone, was waiting for my review and my reaction to that episode. And I found out after I saw the episode, and what happened was one of my friends, he actually recorded my reaction, and I have to be honest with you, it was a candid experience because he recorded it without my permission. And when I found out about it and I saw the video, I said, hey, let me go ahead and let me upload that.
You're like, that's...
Little did I know that would be the video that went viral. Like, that video was everywhere. It was actually on the YouTube main page.
Holy shit! You mean like front page stuff?
Front page. It got over 200,000 views within the first week.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that was the one that went viral, and that was the one where I found out a week later that Sean Bean, one of the lead actors in the series, he saw my review. My reaction video. Excuse me. He saw my reaction video and he mentioned it in an interview that he did for, I believe it was it Empire? I could be wrong. I think it was Empire Magazine.
So now you have the cast and crew like planting seeds of your videos and like interviews and stuff, and all
Exactly.
this is wow,
Exactly.
man.
And just to make sure that it wasn't, just a coincidence, the website that he had the interview on actually posted the link to my video.
Oh, that's great. Thank you to them.
Right. So that's when I knew it's like, okay, wow, this shit really did just go viral, and the cast and crew really, they did see it. And so what happened was, a week ago, I got an email from one of the assistants of the producers. She said that the producers wanted to send me a gift for, supporting the show and being a great fan of it, getting it exposure and whatnot. So, I gave them, well, what happened was she told me that the address that they had was a P.O. box and they couldn't send it to a P.O. box. That's when I knew that the message that the guy sent me way back when on Facebook was legit. Because how else could she have known? How else could she have had a P.O. box unless that guy was telling the truth?
Yeah, unless that guy really had given her one.
Exactly. So I gave them my, my real address, and they sent me a poster from Belfast, which I finally caught why they couldn't send it to a P.O. box, because it was coming overseas.
Oh, okay.
They sent it from the set, and it was autographed by the producers and Sean Bean. They pretty much thanked me for being a fan, for supporting it and whatnot. And yeah, it was it really was an experience that kind of took me back.
I think it is a crazy experience because as fans of things, as we're both reviewers of things, we really idolize certain things. And then the idea that your review got to, on some level, be part of the creative process of the show you liked, that's actually a huge, crazy idea and a huge honor, which, also leads me to something else. When all this was happening, like, you were getting so much success, there was a lot of push in a negative direction towards you in the community. They saw you as a traitor in some ways because you had dropped Naruto, you had picked up Games of Thrones, and they said you turned your back on them. And when you had never said anything like that, you had just made a standard video saying you weren't going to do Naruto reviews anymore. And do you know where all that hate or that nastiness came from? I mean, yeah, we could attribute it to a certain group, but I mean, I think it just comes from jealousy. They were mad that you were making it and they couldn't control you anymore.
Well, this is where I think, jealousy, spitefulness, that obviously are
gets
the
factors
roots of
in,
of the thing. But this is what it was, and I wholeheartedly believe this. Okay, what happened was, believe it or not, I did not drop the weekly anime and manga reviews when I started up the Game of Thrones. If you go back to my channel and you look at the upload dates of some of my videos, I actually kept the anime and manga reviews going for about 3 weeks after I started the Game of Thrones reviews.
Okay.
I didn't officially drop it until I got partnered, because by the time I got partnered, I figured that
you were going to be able to sustain yourself with Game of Thrones. You didn't need Naruto, and you didn't enjoy doing it anymore. I'm totally speaking for you. Sorry, I don't mean to do that.
These are the cold, hard, bare bone facts. The Game of Thrones community was now the majority of my viewership. The anime and manga community was no longer the majority.
That's just facts.
That was just part two. My weekly anime and manga reviews got somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500 views a week.
Which is solid.
My Game of Thrones reviews were getting anywhere between 12,000 and 20,000 views a week.
That's way more solid.
So that was just the facts. My subscriptions, dude, it really got to the point where I remember one day I just sat at my desk and I just clicked the refresh button on my channel for like 30 minutes. and the subscriptions were going up 10 to 12 every few minutes.
That's fucking ridiculous.
So that's what it was. The facts were this. I was no longer catering to the same audience. I was now broadcasting to a much larger, much wider audience.
That's much different.
Which have different tastes and different. They have different hobbies. It's just bigger. There's more people to take into consideration,
Mm-hmm.
and I always felt bad for the longest time on OAW. Even when I was doing my group vids, I felt like the channel was, for lack of a better term, castrating itself because there was much more stuff that we could have been doing. We really did have tunnel vision when we first started OAW. Mm-hmm. That was the thing. It was, this is what we're doing. This is what our viewers like, so we're going to stick to it. We weren't taking the chances to branch out on newer things. That's what it was. And that bugged me for the longest time. Well, once I started doing the channel solo, I had more freedom to do so. And Game of Thrones was, to use a football analogy, it was my offensive line. That was the thing that was breaking down all the barriers, and all I had to do was just follow it. Mm-hmm. So once my Game of Thrones reviews were getting out there and really getting exposure, it was like, okay, now that I have a larger audience, let me try out new things and let me see how the audience responds to it. And they responded in the thousands. When right after I got partnered, I started doing weekly music album reviews, mm-hmm. which, while the music album reviews didn't have much longevity, because they started out really well, but mm-hmm. they weren't getting many views later on down the line. My movie reviews were getting 2,000 to 3,000 views a week. I did my E3 video, got a bunch of views. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So, and the rants. When I brought back the rant segment, man, people loved it. They loved it. The rant segment was always our most popular video, even back when we were doing the group vids. But by the time, right before I got partnered, we really didn't have the time to do it. Well, once I was going solo, once I had time to do the rants, man, when the rants came back, it came back in a big way. People loved the rants. They absolutely loved them.
I think this goes back to something when we were talking the other day on Skype. You said my audience likes me. Like, I've tested that. I think you just said that pretty much by putting up all this different kind of content pointed at different audiences, and it's like they come to watch what I think about these subjects. And that's awesome because I could fucking review Thomas the Train Engine and still get views on it because I'm reviewing it, and I thought that was so true, that you had truly developed an audience that follows your opinion and your ideas on things because they find it entertaining, and that's really awesome.
And I really appreciate it. But like you mentioned earlier, as far as where did all the negativity come, mm-hmm. I think this is where it came from, and I wholeheartedly believe this. It is because, to certain individuals, I was still a rookie on YouTube. Because keep in mind, when I started Game of Thrones, I wasn't even a year on YouTube. You
didn't even have 100 videos.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even have 100. Shit, I still don't have 100 videos.
Yeah. I'm 120 in, Well,
I did have, over time, I did gain over 100, but that's because a lot of them were, the old group videos, which I had to get rid of for copyright purposes.
Yeah, when you started to do the partnered program.
Yeah, because they don't allow you to have any copyright material, so I had to get rid of the old vids. But what happened was, in their eyes, I was still a rookie, and the second I branched out, you can call it luck, you can call it chance, but I took a shot on something and it paid off.
It blew up.
They didn't like that
because they didn't get it. Do you think it's because they didn't get it, or because I still think to a certain point, like you're saying, you didn't earn it yet, and it's not fair that it came easier for you. And the jealousy sort of thing, it's just sort of like, I want that too. He can't have it if I can't have it.
Which is, I find that very funny and very hypocritical, because back when you guys were being criticized when y'all started up SuperKamiGuru, they mentioned it's like, oh, where you guys just copied OtakuAssemble, and at the time, I didn't even know your channel existed.
Yeah,
I was like, who's SuperKamiGuru? SuperKamiGuru9000. So, you know, once I checked out you guys' channel, it was like, well, no, they don't do what we do because they only review Naruto.
Yeah.
And it's only like a vid a week. You know, we're putting out like, you know, 3 vids a week. We're doing anime and manga. It's like, no, it's not the same thing. But the attitude back then was, it was more of, oh, because you guys have been out for a couple of months, you know, we're going to back you against
the newer people.
Yeah, the newer people.
Yeah, you know, that's something that extremely, I never really said this for Neverworld, sorry I'm using names, but he was one of the primary people saying that back then. This is an old beef, and it made me extremely mad because I felt like me and Corey have so much, I'm not trying to, you know, kiss my own ass, but we have a lot of personality in our videos, and we try really hard to establish ourselves as like a fair opinion and a light of creativity in the constantly growing, constantly unoriginal Naruto reviewing scene. And it really made me mad when they said we were copycats, because I was like, if you can't, if you just see 2 people sitting there talking about a content and then you call each other copycats, you haven't even watched the videos of the 2 people you're comparing, because we were so completely different. And I was just like, everyone's a copycat that has 2 guys sitting next to each other talking about something. I was like, that's every video on YouTube, you know?
Oh, and I mean, and that's another thing, because I remember like your early vids, y'all actually had like the y'all had the pages, and y'all would like scroll throughout, you know, from panel to panel.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, dude, we've never done that.
Yeah, and we would always get hit with copyright for that. We can't do that anymore. But it was so much fun, and I always tell people whenever they say our channel is interesting and they enjoy watching our videos, it was because me and Corey, just like you and Chris, said, hey man, let's just start a channel, not really knowing what was out there. I didn't even know Sawyer 7 Mage existed.
Yeah, me neither, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of the...
Yeah, and so we just developed an idea, and we're like, okay, we're going to scroll the pictures, and we're just going to talk about things, and then we'll rate it at the end. And we were like, we're fucking geniuses. No one's ever thought of this before. And then we get on YouTube, and we're like, oh, there's like 1,000 people doing this already. Whoops. But yeah. I think because the idea was developed outside of YouTube, we have our own creative style that we bring. And I am super proud of that. And yes, the fucking Naruto review scene is a little overcrowded, but I'm just not going to sit there and tell people what videos they should and shouldn't make when I do it too. You know, I'm just like, do what you want. It's hard here though. There's a lot of competition. You're not going to become number one overnight. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that was that's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest problem I had with the quote unquote YouTube anime community, is the fact that it's not a community, because a lot of time people treat it like a competition.
Yeah, there's not much helping each other. And I'm going to be honest, like, I'm super privileged, I feel, to do an interview with you, because I'm going to be in a video with a guy that has more than 10 times as many subscribers as me. I don't think people back in the day would do these interviews and talk to people like they are nowadays. I think it's getting a lot better, and people are realizing, in my opinion, how much damage some of that other group has done. And it's finally starting to change, and people are starting to collaborate and share ideas and be friendly to each other and not see it as, fuck you, you got more views than me.
Yeah, so, I mean, once, like I said, once it gets to a competition thing, it's not so much of a community, and
it's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, it really isn't. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get out of the quote unquote, you know, YouTube anime community, which, I mean, depending on who you talk to, I'm out of, I'm not out of. I mean, I don't keep track.
But you make those character bios. You talked about Magneto. You talked about Yu Yu Hakusho. You make some cool videos.
Yeah, but it's like I say, I mean, as far, I don't know where I would have to, I guess if I was going to categorize myself, you know,
yeah. So, dude, honestly, this epic interview. This is almost 40 minutes long. This is going to take forever to upload. It's going to be awesome.
Well, it doesn't that kind of go with the whole
interview? Yeah, that's the thing. I just say, let's just start, and we'll see where we end up.
Oh, well, no, I was about to make the joke. It was like, oh, well, you know, if it's OtakuAssemble, it has to be, you know, an hour long.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's the other thing, dude. You are a recording juggernaut. I don't know how you're just like, you want to hear like 30 different points of view. I never repeat myself, but I'm going for 40 minutes. Sit down and enjoy the ride. Like, I'm like, that guy, I don't know how you do that. I have to edit everything until I'm happy with a little bit of information I've presented to someone.
I honestly, dude, I just talk. who I was. Actually, no. I'm first time me and you were talking on Skype. I mentioned.
Yeah.
I just do my videos as if I'm talking to one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
it makes it a lot more comfortable. Like, it's so much, like, you're like, I'm not trying to impress someone. I'm not trying to lay down all this fake shit. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it. And yeah, you know, there are times where, there are times where I kind of do put on a little performance, but I shit you not, dude. About 99.9% of what you see in the videos is what you really get. And any one of my real friends can attest to that. It's like, yeah, Larry's very animated.
Oh, dude, your energy wouldn't translate to so many people if it wasn't legit. I think that's just...
honestly, I don't think you can fake that.
No, you can't fake the connection. That's either real... I think so many of our fans say, I feel like I could have a conversation with you. And I'm like, that's exactly, we win. We did it, you know? So I'm sure you get a lot of people that are like, I wish I could talk Games of Thrones with you, because they just feel like you engage them on a real personal level, which is hard to fake.
But I can't. I mean, so many Game of Thrones fans I would like to discuss the series with, but a lot of them I can't, and that's because
fanboys.
But no. For the most part, it's because it's based off of a book series, and because I'm trying to stay spoiler free. It's so easy to get spoiled to the series.
Oh, dude, it's funny because it's like I can't get spoiled because these reactions are gold. You know.
Well, honestly, dude, if I get spoiled, the reactions turn to shit.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh well. I mean, just like for a clear example, when the season actually did wrap up with the season finale, the big surprise at the end of the season, everyone was like, "Oh, Larry, what's your take on it?" And I told him I saw it coming.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was spoiled. It's because if you pay attention throughout the season, there's breadcrumbs, there's clues that's going to happen. All you have to do is just sit down and pay attention. And so I kind of expected that to take place. It's like I wasn't really very surprised, and people was like, "Oh, it was so like underwhelming." It's like, well, it happens.
I mean, and the other thing is, I think being reviewers, I find myself hypersensitive to things now. Like when I'm reading a story, I'm like, oh, this is like in Naruto, or this is like in that one time with this other story, because so many things. It's not that Game of Thrones is unoriginal. I've heard it's very original. It's just there's story elements that you'll just sort of pick up on the more you review things, and you can sort of see things coming if you spend too much time analyzing these things like we do.
Oh yeah, that goes into one of the main reasons why I dropped all the big shonen titles like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Fairy Tail, Hitman Reborn. I just never picked up. And even Toriko, I'm not even intrigued enough to pick that up. And the reason is because all of these series, for the most part, there are so many elements to these series that you can find in older series. Like there's Naruto, I've seen Naruto before.
And it's like, you know what? In Dragon Ball Z, Goku's going to be the strongest fighter. In Naruto's going to become Hokage. And in One Piece, Luffy's going to find One Piece. Because I can just tell you, it's going to happen. So get ready, because they're just going to bullshit you till they get there.
Pretty much. I mean, and that's the reason why, when I did my today's anime and manga rant, when I quote unquote bashing the new series, well, the reason why I bash them is because they're not very original. Yeah, they come up with their own characters, they come up with their own stories, their own mythologies. That's all fine and dandy. That's the only thing about the newer series that actually does intrigue me, because one of the biggest letdowns about Naruto is that Naruto has a great mythology. It really does have good mythology. Mm-hmm. However, as far as story structure is concerned, it's very predictable.
And very, like the beat, it goes to a drum. It's like, there goes that, there goes that. It's very, like you were saying, predictable. It's just, you can see it coming, and Naruto is fucking going to become Hokage, and I can't believe I'm going to review another 500 chapters till it gets to that.
Oh, and they're so long. And that's nothing, dude. They're so long to get to shit that we've already seen before.
That's one of the reasons why I don't review One Piece, because I love One Piece, but I think it's really bad if you wait for it manga to manga. Like, it's kind of a slow series, so you can't really... You got to read it an arc at a time. You can't really... If you're current, it's kind of hurting the way you read it, in my opinion, because it's so slow. And like Fishman Island arc is taking forever to get through, and they're just now getting epic. And we went through a time skip, and we have just now seen the characters' new moves. That is retarded. That took too long, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, my opinion.
I mean, and so that's why, you know, with the newer series, I just, you know, fell out of it because I felt like I was seeing the same thing. But amongst the newer series that I actually did enjoy, those are the titles no one's talking about anymore because, quote unquote, they're finished. You know, just because it's finished, you can't talk about it anymore. I find that funny because by that logic, then that means no one would ever talk about The Godfather because, you know, it's finished. Or no one would ever discuss...
yeah, they're not filming The Godfather anymore, so we can't talk about it. It's like, what the fuck did you just say? You know?
Dark Side of the Moon has already been released, so we can't talk about that album anymore.
What about the way that inspired 1,000 artists that are out today? No, we can't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, we can't talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, amongst the newer series, what are the ones that I really enjoy? Death Note, because I had never read anything like that before. Basilisk, because we had a ninja manga that was actually about ninjas. Code Geass, because I hadn't seen anything that political since fucking Gundam Wing.
Gundam Wing is so political too.
That I got into.
Yeah, and Gundam Wing is so political, so I know what you're saying. Like the way it'll just like, you're like, wow, this is working on some really deep levels here.
You know, Full Metal Alchemist. You know, Full Metal Alchemist ended not too long ago. That series, because no one had ever done no shit like that before.
And Brotherhood looks amazing. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but it looks great.
I haven't seen all of it, but because it's pretty much gotten to the point where it's like, okay, catch what I can on Adult Swim, and you know,
keep moving. Yeah,
pretty much keep moving.
I understand. I understand.
I don't know how the series ends, and well, I kind of know how the series ends. I'm pretty much just gonna.
You need to borrow a Blu-ray collection from a friend and put it in a PS3 and watch that shit. It'll blow your mind. It really will, dude. So, like, I don't know. I mean, you're a very personal reviewer. I think a lot of your fans kind of feel like they get to know you as they watch reviews. But like, what are you doing right now? You're a college student. What are you studying? Things like that. What is?
Well, I'm a visual arts student.
Uh-huh.
My concentration was in computer animation, but 2 years ago I switched to painting, traditional painting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm studying right now. And I'm also thinking about getting a minor in English because I'm also a writer. So, you know, it just gives me something extra to do since I have to be here for so many more semesters. You know, might as well work towards something, right?
Yeah, you're there, so you might as well keep doing something productive with your time. I mean, it's that or get a job with school. And I don't really like working when I'm going to school because it's just like, do I really want to have a job when I have to work the night before a test or something?
I did both.
Oh, you did both? Okay, you're a beast then, because I hated taking 15 hours and working. I was like, F that. No, thank you.
Yep, I did both.
Oh, you're a beast, man. Oh, where does your name come from? OtakuAssemble. Is that from News Team Assemble or Avengers Assemble?
It was inspired by the Avengers.
The Avengers. Okay, because I was like, which one? I couldn't tell. Because I was thinking about putting Ron Burgundy blowing into that conch shell when I introduced you, just to be funny. But, you know, I'll stick with the Avengers if I decide to make an intro.
Yeah, it's the Avengers. That's where the name was inspired from.
Awesome. Okay, well, you know, Larry, I can't say thank you enough. This was by far the most awesome, realistic, friendly interview I've had out of all of the ones I've done. And I hope we get to keep talking more, and the best of luck with your channel.
Thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it, and same to you, man.
Hey, I have one request before you go. Is it possible I could get you to say OtakuAssemble like?
Oh no! I mean, I call it OAW in conversation because it's shorter. But at the beginning of every video, I still do the call.
Oh, okay, man. Well,
it's kind of iconic now.
I'd love to hear that call before we head out for the day.
OtakuAssemble!